Welcome to Language Lesson 80. Today we're going to be talking about simple subject, simple predicate, and the subject and verb agreement. But before we do, we're going to review subject and predicate. Now, in the beginning of the year, we talked about the subject of a sentence. Do you remember what the subject of a sentence is? Hopefully, you said the who or what the sentence is about. Do you remember what the predicate part of the sentence is? Hopefully, you said the what happened in the sentence. So, in order to help you review further, we're going to go over some things that we've done in the past to help us know what is the subject and what is the predicate. So, here's the first sentence that I want you to read. Jenna spent a quarter for a bookmark. Now, what is the subject in this sentence? If you said Jenna, you are correct. Now, what is the predicate of this sentence? If you said spent a quarter for a bookmark, you are correct. Great job. Now, in the past, we've drawn a line between the subject and the sentence and the predicate to show the difference between the subject and the predicate. So this sentence would look like this. Jenna spent a quarter for a bookmark. Notice my line to separate the subject from the predicate. Let's practice with another sentence. This sentence says, our dogs splashed in the pond. What is the subject in this sentence? If you said dogs, you are correct. If you said our dogs, we're going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk about simple subject, simple predicate. What is the predicate of this sentence? If you said splashed in the pond as the predicate, you are correct. Now, if I were to draw a line to separate the subject from the predicate, it would look something like this. Our dogs splashed in the pond. Dogs is the subject, and splashed in the pond is the predicate. Now that we've gone over the who or the what happened, who or the what, and what happened in the sentence, we're going to get into our lesson. Simple subject, simple predicate. Now, every sentence we have read up until this point must have a verb in the predicate part of that sentence. What is the verb in that first sentence that we read? Here, I'll show you again. Jenna spent a quarter for a bookmark. What is the verb in this sentence? If you said spent, you are correct. Now, it's always best to find the verb first. Now we can easily find the subject. Remember, the verb always is in the predicate part of the sentence. So I have identified the verb by underlining it twice in the sentence. Jenna spent a quarter for a bookmark. Spent is the action or the verb. Now we ask ourselves, who or what spent? If you said Jenna, you are correct. Jenna is the subject of our sentence because she is the who or what that spent the quarter for a bookmark. Now, what about our other sentence? Take a look at our sentence here. Remember, we're talking about simple subject, simple predicate. What is the verb in the predicate part of this sentence? Our dogs splashed in the pond. If you said splashed, you are correct. Splashed is the action or the verb that's happening in the sentence. Now, who or what splashed? Or what is the subject of the sentence? Did you say our dogs was the subject? Let's break that down. If you said our dogs was the subject of the sentence, let me ask you two questions. First question, did our splash No. Second question, did dogs splash? Yes. So that means only the word dogs is the subject of the sentence. So I've identified the verb by underlining it twice in the sentence here. And then I've specifically underlined the word dogs because it is the noun that is doing the action. So when we are locating the subject, we just want to know the noun that is doing the action or the predicate part of the sentence. So if I were to expand on that and I said, our 6 black Labrador dogs splashed in the pond, we would still only underline dogs as the subject. Why is that? That is because our 6 black Labrador is describing the noun. So we just need to identify the noun as the subject. All those other words, our 6 black Labradors, is just describing dogs. Make sense? Hopefully it does. All right, moving on. Okay, now that we have talked about simple subject, simple predicate, we are going to talk about the verb and subject agreement. Now, there's an agreement between subject and verb in a sentence. Now, if a subject is singular, meaning one, we often add an S or an ES to the end of the present tense verb. Remember, present tense means it's happening right now. If the subject is plural, meaning more than one, we do not add S or ES to the end of the present tense verb. For example, I have Bella here. Bella, is Bella singular or is Bella plural? If you said singular, you are correct. So if the subject is singular, we need to add an S or ES to the end of our present tense verb. So our verb is sing. So we know the agreement between the subject, which is Bella, and the verb, which is sing. Since Bella is singular, we need to add an S to the end of the verb. So we would say Bella sings. Now, what about children? Children is our subject. Now, is children singular, meaning one, or is children plural, meaning more than one? If you said plural, you are correct. Now you need to remember the agreement between the subject, which is children, and our verb, which is sing, when the subject is plural. We've just learned that when the subject is plural or more than one, we do not add the S or ES to the end of the present tense verb. So we would say, children sing. We would not say, children sing. Just like we wouldn't say, Bella sing. Now, can you figure out which verb we would use in this subject or with this subject? Elijah is the subject. First, you ask yourself, is Elijah singular or plural? And the verb here is help. Which one would you say would fit based off of what we learned the agreement between the subject and the predicate is? If you said Elijah helps, you are correct. If you look at the last subject here, boys is the subject, help is the verb. Remembering the agreement that we just learned, you ask yourself, is boys singular or plural? After you answer that question, which verb would you use? Help or helps? If you said boys help, you are correct because boys is plural. You would not need to add the S at the end of your present tense verb. Now, I want you to open your language books to page 89, and I want you to review further the simple subject, simple predicate, and the subject and verb agreement. Happy studying.